I'm surrounded by crazy people. But if I come back, you're just surrounded by more crazy people. I don't know how this solves your problem. We're gonna watch Audience Hates Bad Writing, Not Strong Women. What are we even watching?
She-Hulk, Peter Pan and Wendy, The Rings of Power, Captain
Oh my god, my ass is too big again. I feel too big. Let me put myself there. I'm gonna have to cut these out. Lazy as fuck writing, yeah, and Nepo writers. Like,
Marvel.
I like the theories about how the generations of Hollywood has just left it completely talentless, and I really think that's a big part of it too.
Last Jedi, Mulan. All products featuring a female lead of significant strength or power, all brutally panned by audiences. Why is that? Sexism, right? Or maybe it's just bad character writing. That's not to discount the awfulness of any actual hatred of female characters due to their gender, but it's quite apparent once you think about it that such hateful commentary only finds any significant audience if the wider, less spiteful viewing public dislikes the character for their own, more sensible reasons. The main reason, of course, is that so many lead women in film and TV in the past decade are just horribly written. To
be fair, like, I heard that actually the Marvels writing was substantially better for their characters, but the problem is it left a bad taste in their mouth. It was like from the first one, so no one really saw it.
There are plenty of exceptions.
People are just so fucking sick of Disney, honestly, pumping out crap. I think Finn and Rey could have been a good duo if they would have followed a bit more from the first movie, what they were setting up. Like, I like the whole, like, 3 people, but when they forgot about Finn, forgot about Poe, it became a fucking mess.
And we'll talk about a few of those. This is a problem most
That's why I think, Arcane is a good example of good writing.
Notable in Disney projects, as you could tell from my list, but since Disney owns half the world at this point, it feels like a wider issue. So what exactly makes these characters such bad examples of what a protagonist should be? Well, it's hard to point to any one thing in particular. Not all the characters discussed here will share the same writing flaws. They all fail in varying ways, but they do have some...
I'm pretty sure Blue Beetle bombed. A lot of the last gen of Marvel has bombed in general. People are just sick of Marvel too. Yeah, the Marvels wasn't as bad as all the other crap. It's just people aren't excited for Marvel movies because there has been so much shit.
Similarities.
So most people aren't even giving it a chance.
Is being overpowered and not really earning that power. The original animated film...
Isn't Blue Beetle Marvel? I thought Blue Beetle was Marvel.
Shows Mulan's struggle due to her inexperience and lack of physical prowess. But she makes up for those disadvantages by using her wits, thinking creatively, and refusing to quit even when things seem hopeless. The new Mulan is basically a superhero.
I honestly didn't even is DC? Damn, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'm not up to date on like most DC stuff. Okay, this is the thing. Like, I love Mulan story. I love Mulan animated. I hated these changes. It's also too clean. I hate when things are too clean. Look how this looks like a set.
Already due to her.
I didn't even pick it up because I already knew the changes and I didn't like it.
Midichlorians, and thus is automatically more skilled than everyone else. There's no need for her to use her brain or develop new ways to approach problems, leaving the character flat and uninteresting. It's worth...
To be fair, her character art is be yourself, but the whole Mulan character art in the original is also be yourself, but it's okay to be strong and to be yourself, and you can actually make changes yourself. Like, it was a multi-leveled lesson, you know what I mean? But there's supposed to be more to the story than just that. Making sacrifices, etc. There's also a thing. Marvel fatigue, movies are expensive. People aren't just going to see if something's shit anymore. They're waiting because things come to streaming so quickly now.
Noting that when I say earning power, that doesn't necessarily mean doing something noble or virtuous that results in the character being given great power, as is the case with someone like Captain America. Most superheroes do not earn their abilities in such a way. Their powers are forced upon them through chance or freak accident, and that's fine. However, to then earn the power given them...
My favorite Marvel, Spider-Man! But, okay, yeah, that is a good point I was saying there, is, yeah, the fatigue Disney in general, because for the first time in many years, Disney princess movies are also doing badly, because Disney fatigue. People just don't trust it to actually put out good content because they have actually pushed out shit. It's the similar with Netflix. Netflix for a 5-year period, it was actually known for putting out mostly good stuff. Now no one goes, it's a Netflix show, let's pick it up, because it pushes out a lot of just dog shit now. And it's the same reason there is no brand trust. Inside Out 2. I guess that's Disney under Pixar, but yeah, it's the same thing. Inside Out is good. It was good, yeah.
Hero should have to struggle in some way to grow into his or her abilities.
It's Bully Maguire, guys!
The Maguire Spider-Man movie is a classic example of this. Peter Parker is given superpowers through a random spider bite, but he doesn't instantly know what to do with his newfound abilities, nor even how to put them to proper use. There are significant growing pains as he learns to be the hero he now must become. A more recent example of this trope that was done fairly well is Kate Bishop from The Hawkeye Show that at least 20 people watched.
At least,
despite being
that is the thing. The Hawkeye Show apparently was pretty good, but no one watched it because everyone... I didn't even pick it up because Marvel fatigue. Even if it is better than most, our mind is a lot of Marvel is dog shit, so why would I even give it a go? I even dropped a lot of I haven't picked up so many Star Wars stuff because I'm fatigued with the amount of Star Wars, and a lot of it is trash. Exactly. To be fair, my period of Netflix that was good was that when they were in charge of the Marvel TV shows they used to come out with, but then Marvel took it back, you know, like, Daredevil and some of those. When it was leaving, The Punisher was good. But when they were leaving Netflix, that's really when they lost their good shows, in my opinion.
Talented archer and martial artist from the get-go, Kate is woefully inexperienced in the world of crime fighting, and has to learn how to apply her skills in each new situation.
Well, they're not replacing her with a female counterpart in this one. Kate Bishop is actually an apprentice of Hawkeye. Like, she's an actual character. Superheroes getting apprentices to become their sidekick / the new version of them is very common in comic books.
Relying on the mentorship of Hawkeye himself. On the flip side, we have characters like She-Hulk and Rey Skypatine. Rey's progression through her Jedi training was basically just whatever the plot required at any given moment. Jen Walters woke up as She-Hulk and immediately was in full control of her alter ego. The central struggles that defined the characters from whom these heroines were derived are just stripped away and not replaced by anything meaningful. Jen's defining character moment takes...
That is the thing. I don't think a lot of people realize too. Everyone complains about everything because some things on social media, there is fine complaints, but the antis in some people being so fucking annoying drives more people away from watching it. In general, but like some complaints are just for the sake of complaining, I would say. Like whenever there's fucking complaints about characters being ugly, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Who cares? Can we just get good actors or good shows? Like, of course you're gonna get dog shit if you're gonna also complain that they're not hot enough. Like, there's some bullshit mixed in that doesn't even matter. Like, when it comes to making good shows.
Placed during a group therapy session.
Yeah, I liked Rogue One. I heard Osaka was okay, but I didn't pick it up, yeah.
When she comes to the realization that she needs to accept that she doesn't need to be She-Hulk to find acceptance. That's right, the apex of Jen's character arc is her deciding that she can be herself. This wasn't an issue, by the way, until after the She-Hulk persona was present. Prior to her accident, Jen appeared to be quite satisfied with her life. For some unknown reason, she only decided to get into the dating scene after spending some time as a giant green monster, and then found out apparently there's no market for a reasonably attractive 30-something-year-old lawyer in Los Angeles. I don't know about you, but to me that feels a bit contrived. Look, I'm not in the online dating scene, but I have it on good authority that women tend to get significantly more attention than men do on those apps.
Yeah, if you're of a certain demographic, that is true, but she is over 30. Yes, as a woman over 30, you get less matches, according to statistics, and women in high power positions also have less matches. Also, her pictures aren't exactly sexy, so the kind of thing is she kind of comes off rigid, so I wouldn't be surprised she gets a lot less matches or no matches. But just like with men's profiles, there are... But you gotta play it. Yeah, hags are in demand! Oh my god! But that's the thing, you still need to put effort in. It's the main reason people point out why men also get less clicks is because they don't really put in that effort, but women who actually wants to, like, get matches know how to match it. But if you don't know how to take a photo, you screwed. Got hundreds. Yeah, that's because Kira's hot! and sexy and all this stuff. That's Kira. Kira is not every woman, guy. But that's my point. Kira knows also, does statistics on this stuff, and she's in a similar position. But Kira also knows how to play the game. Do you think Kira posted a pic in her fucking lore outfit, no cleavage, looking like she's a rigid secretary? No. But that's my point. There's less, but yeah, I don't think she'll get none. But to be fair, movies are always more dramatic. I've told the actual story, it would have been much better. Yeah, they went too campy and like took all the substance out of it.
Especially if they happen to be successful and not ugly. Does this show seriously expect me to believe that the only guys willing to even talk to Jen Walters are total creeps and losers, or alternatively, men who are only charming and friendly because they have an agenda? Speaking of which, let's talk about Disney's obsession.
Agenda? Who still get matches? To be fair, I only know stats because I don't use dating apps. Because I'm a loser. No, because I don't know. It's boring. I hate seeing the women's Twitter. I muted it for a reason. I hate seeing that. Which woman's? The woman's? I can't say for legal reasons. But yeah, help dividers of She-Hulk didn't know anything about lawyer stories and lore. Yeah, I feel like that's the thing. Lore stories in general tend to do well in TV shows, so they really fumbled. Seeing one of the biggest like general shows that were very popular was like The Good Wife, was all about like lawyers and women and stuff. It's like, bro, could have just shoved Hulk problems into that and you would have got a winner chicken dinner. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel, you know?
With promoting and elevating women. It's one thing to have female characters who are smart, strong, persistent, and courageous. It's quite another to simply promote the power of women by setting them up on a pedestal. That kind of treatment is nothing more than pandering, and stories that contain it suffer greatly.
For the next 7 days, we are sponsored by Game of Thrones Winter is Coming. That is being released onto PC browser. And if you go through chapter 6, 9, or 13, any of those, you'll be supporting this stream if you use the link down below. Or you can come play with me on Twitch, or join the Discord and tell me what you think. It also helps keeping editors on this channel. And thank you guys for giving a chance. Hope you enjoyed the video.
Take, for example, the recent Peter Pan and Wendy, which decided that the all-male cast of Lost Boys wasn't inclusive enough, and so tossed some girls into the mix. Girls can be rough and tumble too, you hear? Do you know why the Lost Boys were originally all boys? It's because they fell out of their prams, or strollers for you Americans, and were carted off to Neverland. And girls are far too clever to do such a stupid thing. But apparently no one involved in the casting decision.
Well, to be fair, they're babies? What? That is such a weird story point. They're too clever to do it. They're babies. So what the fuck do you mean they're too clever? There is no clever babies. But that's the thing, babies are dumb. I don't see a problem with it. Children are dumb. The idea that women are more smart and mature babies is also kind of stupid. So I don't know. Haven't met a baby. None of them are smart.
Had ever read the original novel, so here we are. Or we could talk about Captain Marvel and the thinly veiled metaphor for the patriarchy.
I've taken care of so many babies, and I've worked in a daycare. I was a gigabrain. They aren't clever, and the idea that boys are sillier or girls are more refined as a baby. Am I stupid? I'm not a baby. Is kind of sexist towards men, making men seem like they're stupider than and women are more mature. But it's also sexist against women, saying they mature quicker and more refined, which is also just not true. That's not how babies work. Male and female babies are almost exactly the same. I'm sorry, guys, but in like actual child psychology and raising children, you should raise them pretty much exactly the same, because there's very little differences between them.
He embodied in the one dude who keeps telling her to not use her true power because that's cheating or whatever. And of course, She-Hulk seems to be mostly made just to complain about
I called cheats! To be fair, I feel like him saying not to use her tool power was a tool, but to be fair, I felt like that was like such a letdown of a fight. That was such a nothing. It pissed me off when I watched that movie. Yeah, there's differences later on because, you know, testosterone, estrogen, but like those are not very prevalent when you're a baby and you're getting raised. There's not much differences, and there's not much intelligence difference levels in babies either, except, you know, natural, you know, between genders. Kind of felt nothing she did. Yep, no struggle at all. There was potential in there, though. There was potential, but they just kind of, every time they had a chance for something to potentially come out of it, whoosh, just whooshed it away. Yeah, you have no real cognitive skills too in there, and that's why a lot of people get frustrated with babies, but babies actually don't have full control of your muscles and your like body until you're like 10. It's actually if you remember when you were very young getting frustrated with your movements and stuff like that, that is you not being developed yet. Yeah, it's because you don't actually have full control over your body or actions until then. Obviously, practice can get you there sooner, but like, yeah, you're not fully developed yet in that sense.
The pig-headedness of men.
There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it.
Yeah, nobody talks like that. It should come...
Yeah, not really. The only main difference, they haven't actually found a difference in gender for intelligence. It's mainly actually, sad as it is, money. How you're raised and stuff like that. It's through an educational like childhood you're more likely to be more intelligent. It's very a lot of nurture compared to nature with intelligence level. Obviously you can have the upper hand with genetics and stuff like that, but kids are sponges. But if you waste those years of absorption, you're fucked. Yeah, the rich gatekeeping success. Fuckers. It's the same thing where kids are more likely to pick up multiple languages. Yeah, that's why I'm stupid as fuck. Dented. I'm dead. I got dented. They wasted my most valuable years.
It's no surprise that these shows and movies don't just fail at writing good female characters.
I was dropped as a baby. Bro, I wish I was only dropped.
Written across the board.
I'm the spy. What?
It's not just Rey that the audience dislikes. No characters from the Disney trilogy won the hearts of the audience. Remember how great of a character Nick Fury was in Captain Marvel? Yeah, neither does anyone else. Elrond really stood out in the Rings of Power, right? Okay, he actually wasn't terrible. He wasn't good, but he could have been worse. Honestly, Galadriel could have been worse too. Not that
I hate the short elf hair. I hates it. A drop kicked. How dare you? I've heard a lot of those. I've heard a lot of drunk lamp or yeah. The main difference I've seen in statistics of gender is risk taking, but that's prominent in older years too. That because you know the statistic about male babies are more likely to die because they do more risky behavior even as a child.
She was well written. She wasn't, and her introduction in the first episode is basically a how-to course on annoying audiences. We first meet her as she's being tormented by other elf children for having the audacity to think that her origami swan will float. Not only does this display a severe lack of understanding of what elves are in Tolkien's Legendarium on the writer's part, it demonstrates a cheap trick that modern media likes to use in order to attempt to make the audience like a character. Forced sympathy. The mantra goes something like this. Look, this character is being mistreated. You must then feel bad for her and like her. The correct response to that is, of course, why is this character being mistreated? For all we know, Galadriel was being a complete twerp, just...
Happening that we were... Hey, Kapoof, thanks for the raid, homie. Welcome in. You get a shout out to Kapoof. Thanks, guys. Welcome in, Zuchi, Mask, Zeno. How we going today, guys? A friend, Dark Flame Monster. We having a good one. We're just watching some stuff, and discussing different, like... shows. Hello. Did you have a good one, homie? What were we up to today? Hi, Raiders. Right in the middle of an ad. My bad. We had a good one today. Yeah, we're talking about main character syndrome. But honestly, yeah, I would say that a lot of problems I see with shows, honestly, is them trying to make every character likable. I'm watching House of the Dragon right now, and I would say like a huge problem is they want to make a lot of characters likable. Like they're really afraid, especially with female characters, to make them unlikable. Maple Story and some bosses, Pog. That's not right. Sounds pretty awesome. There we go. I did it. Damn lazy mods. Because, like, they took a lot of, like, they take a lot out of, especially places her source material to negative traits, but they do with some male characters too, which is very annoying. It's very obvious some writers have favorites.
Moments before this scene, and is totally deserving of having her boat sunk.
Yeah,
there's no narrative reason that the show gives for Galadriel to be tormented here. It's just an attempt at manipulating the audience into feeling bad for the poor, helpless victim, and thus hopefully liking her. Contrast that with Arcane and the plight of Vin and Powder. The show opens with an actually tragic scene, and it doesn't stoop to the pointed, petty tactics of Rings of Power. Galadriel lives in Valinor, a place of transcendent peace and harmony, so the writers contrived an inane attempt at sympathy. Arcane is set largely in a brutal slum of a city, but it gives its main character a plucky, relentless attitude that rejects the victimhood status which so many other modern properties confer upon their heroines. Because
yeah, I would say definitely for sure. This is what I find interesting, because this discussion comes up a lot about the circle of you try to be so pandering or progressive or anti-progressive that you end up the opposite of what you're trying to do. In the same thing of the strong female character, they try and make them seem like a victim that they must overcome, but in this end, they are not making a progressive female character, because why must she always be a victim first? Because realistically, there's a good story here, and it's a similar with most elf stories in Lord of the Rings, where they don't understand humankind. And I feel like that would have been a way more interesting story to tell of her when she goes, because she starts off in the elf world, that she doesn't understand humanity and their problems because they don't have the same world. Yeah. I don't think it's just the victim mentality. I think it's lazy shorthand, because a lot of them don't actually understand these problems. You know what I mean? Like, they're trying to sell it, but they don't understand it. They don't actually understand what it means to struggle. A lot of people writing this stuff.
If you're a victim, how can anyone hate you? Well, it's pretty easy when you're incredibly smug and don't give a rat's ass about the safety of your troops. The me against the world vibes from Galadriel in the first episode are just so tired and overdone. We know she's going to be right about Sauron still being around because of course she is. She can take down the Ice Troll single-handedly because of course she can. However, that on its own would not necessarily be bad writing. Galadriel, because that is what the show calls her, is quite old and thus an experienced warrior. I'm willing to accept that this character has spent centuries in combat and thus is highly skilled and capable of such feats. What makes this scene so absurd is that all the other elves around her, these warriors hand-picked to exterminate Sauron and the remnants of his armies, are completely and totally hapless and helpless, to the point that they might as well be a different species than their leader.
That is the thing too, I think, is like bad with some of these. They don't understand camaraderie. It's like similar to isekai problems, when there is no camaraderie among the characters. Gonna rest because of course she can. Yes, I'm strong, I'm buff, I can make a rest, bro. Believe in me that believes in you.
It's totally fine to have protagonists who are supremely skilled, but it's
just a similar problem I had with, like, harems. They dropped the side main character that was a common trope, and it's just always just one protagonist. It's boring as fuck. Like, I prefer, they lose the teamwork and stuff like that. It's so powerful she could sing a troll to death. But she swings a sword like the men. Yeah, see, I think they could have done something interesting with the Ring of Power, but bad writing.
Poor choice to have the supporting characters be complete buffoons in order to showcase that skill. Galadriel might as well just be out there on her own. Really, most of the examples I've listed.
Yeah, trolls are actually very strong. In general, maybe if they were well written. Yeah, they used to have a bit more writing to them, but they all end the same. All the harem members end up with the guy. The end. Nowadays. But again, also elves tend to have a lot of camaraderie. There's and a lot of elf superiority. But again, they kind of remove the negative traits and separates her and singles her out instead of giving her a group or people to care about, and that kind of ruins the character too, and also makes it seem more fake, because then the world feels very disconnected, like nothing is well thought out and established.
Solo. It is up to them and them alone to win the day. As in Captain Marvel and Mulan, all they really need to do is seize the power that is already within them to throw off the shackles others would impose upon them, and victory
That's a good point. What happened to all the body cops and stuff like that, like, they used to be so common.
Theirs. The dramatic shift between victimhood and total power is what these movies believe to be meaningful character work, but it's really just a violent swing from
Did
one
they also
extreme to
get
the
rid
other.
of Mulan's love interest? I'm not really sure, actually. I didn't like live action Mulan either. I hated they changed everything that made her awesome and like really like an amazing character from animated Mulan. She was like one of my favorites.
And neither end of the spectrum is healthy. There's a huge difference between having agency and being world-conquering forces of nature that only needed to shrug off the hands.
Shen, those sons of bitches. I love that. Also, I love the gay jokes about him. It's like he liked her when she was a dude. Suspect Shen, but like, but yes, that's another thing I have a gripe with because I don't mind in Frozen 1, like when she doesn't have a love interest. It's interesting, the interesting development between a sister's relationship. But I dislike in a lot of these modern ones when they try and make women powerful or whatever, because I don't understand what makes a woman's life almost, as funny as it is. But there's variety in the way women live their lives. They're not just one thing. They always remove, there's no love interest. And there is no feminine traits whatsoever in women. So it's also completely turned to the round that feminine traits aren't strong. You can't be strong if you're feminine, which I feel like also counteracts the point. But that also just strips away all different levels of relatability to them and makes them very one-dimensional. I made Miller had a better character development from being weak, and she trained hard, gained trust from her comrades, etc. Yep, and little girls looked up to her, and they actually had relationship development where they talked about real relationships, and she had to learn about sacrifice. It's like, it had so many layers to the animated, and the songs were so good. Yeah.
Down. If you're going to write the hero of a story, a central character who ultimately
That's the thing, they keep forgetting. The hero struggle. What makes a good hero story is the hero struggle. If there is no struggle, how are you a hero? You're just OP. Because a hero must struggle to get there. Did no one watch Hercules? Did no one watch Hercules? For fuck, they go over this.
To conquer the evil he or she faces, you need to make them earn it. That protagonist needs to struggle or even suffer as they obtain the strength necessary to win the day. Ideally, they would find such strength through meaningful relationships, or by learning from those wiser or more experienced than them. Recent examples of this done at least fairly well: Rita Vertasky, a supremely skilled...
Exactly, it's also about her accepting that there is danger and struggle and high risk to herself. Like, if she gets caught, she's murdered, blah, blah, blah. Not that she's just OP, so, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there is, like, multiple layers to her understanding she's a high risk, but she's doing it for her dad. So she must succeed through, like, strength of will, or she, like, leboned.
Skilled soldier having to work together with Tom Cruise's character, whose name I forget, to gradually establish a plan to win the war. Vi being motivated by love for her sister, relying on others in her fight badly.
That's a thing too. The love for her sister. They always downplay a lot of the relationships in some newer stuff. It's because love is feminine, right, guys? Everyone can love, guys, for fuck's sake. Because I find this even with male characters, that they don't show these traits enough in, like, the bad written ones. Hey, ADPS. Because, like, that's gross, right, guys? Men can't love either.
Missing the guidance of her father figure. Kate Bishop being mentored by Hawkeye as she realizes how ill-prepared she is for the world she has stumbled into. There are plenty of other examples of female protagonists who match that description, but I wanted to point out some from within the last decade to emphasize the point that audiences do not, by and large, just hate any strong woman on screen right now, just the ones whose character arcs are flatter than the state of Kansas. Characters who need only achieve
I would say, the thing is that only peeves me about this is there is a lot of bad writing, but female characters getting bad writing gets the most hate. It's like, when there's bad written characters that are guys or whatever, or bad shows, and the main guy, it's like, oh, this is dog shit. The end. But when they do talk about when there's bad written female character, it's all about, well, this is why women suck, and this is why women shouldn't be in there, and this is why this movie shouldn't have had her, or whatever. And it's just like, headbutt. Like, guys, stick to the point that it's written like dog shit. But I do agree that it does get like shit on so much more for being trash, because I guess it's because we want a well-written... Yeah, same. I want a well-written media, but I don't think it focuses on the main points, like, to get it there. I don't think it's helping.
Self-actualization,
like, some of the
not only
ways it's
boring
portrayed,
and lack meaningful
if that makes
character work,
sense.
they teach us awful lessons. The idea that all that is needed for success is to seize the strength and power already within you is a harmful notion that discredits the value of relationships, personal growth, and humility.
Yeah, I also think that's a salt in the wound, because Hulk has not gotten his own show and a lot of stuff in a long time. And the first TV show we get, it's in She-Hulk, but Hulk hasn't gotten his own movie or anything in so long. Like, get main role, I feel like the difference is shitty male characters is just male characters, but people shitty written female characters are like some kind of role model. I think that's a thing. Like, I do think them pushing these characters as some sort of like, oh, what's the word? This is the first female character ever, and it will be like an idol for young girls before it's even done anything is setting up an unrealistic standard that also doesn't help. If that makes sense, you can't force it to be an icon. You either make something and it becomes one. You can't force it to be. And writing on a cereal box is more compelling, true? Oh my god.
You are sufficient, these stories tell their audiences. You don't need to change. Our heroes are supposed to inspire us, either by their ability to grow beyond their own flaws and failures, or, despite being paragons of virtue and goodness, still having to struggle against overwhelming odds and having to use their wits.
I don't know if that's true. Men are sidelined. There's still tons of movies with men as the lead doing men things. It's just like, especially in Hollywood, there's some trash in there. It's because like they're trying to, what's the word? Combine every genre. So there's a lot of like in there. Yeah, I did say they haven't, but they're not the only. Like, Finn was never the main character. Yeah, he's sidelined, but so was fucking everyone. Hawkeye literally had his own stuff, and he was in the movies, but Kate Bishop does exist, and he does train her, and he has a big point in that. Like, he has a thing. I don't think he was sidelined for Ant-Man? Who was sidelined in Ant-Man? But these are actual canon things that happen. Those are canon things. Like, Bruce Banner, I don't think was received well. But, like, those are things that happen in the comics. Leads and other stuff still. Yeah, there's a healthy amount of male leads. I would say everyone was fucking sidelined in fucking... They butchered every character. You have to admit, they butchered every character in Star Wars. John Connor, that movie was a shit show. It made no sense. But you're literally... That's still, like, what, 4 shows out of the bajillion that come out? 4 does not make a pandemic. That's, like, a couple. Yeah, exactly. Hulk got sidelined by fucking everyone. He was ignored by everyone. But there's literally tons of shows with tons of women and men. Picard? What show was that?
Creative to trust their team to win the day. Indeed,
Peter Pan? Wendy was always like a main character in Peter Pan. It's called Peter Pan, but Wendy was always the main character in Peter Pan, pretty much. It starts with Wendy. It ends with Wendy. She's the main character. The Witcher? He wasn't sidelined for a woman. He's the main character. How was he sidelined? He was just replaced by a different Witcher guy. Star Trek, I didn't watch Star Trek 4. I can't help you on that one.
some of the most admirable characters in fiction.
It's like Zelda being called Zelda, but it's all about Link. That's Peter Pan. The Peter Pan story is always about Wendy.
Ones who do not suffer all that much personal growth due to having already attained great virtue find themselves insufficient. This is most clear in Tolkien's work, where characters such as Faramir, Theoden, and Aragorn, great men who suffer little if any inner turmoil, at least in the books, are not able to win the day, but rather can only play their part in the war that will define the future of Middle-earth. They teach us the message we need to hear, the message that Disney and Hollywood want to keep from our
Good
ear.
adaptation. That's a good adaptation. See? Exactly. On the screen for like 1 frame. I have no idea. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying it's not like everything. I would still say men are the main focus of most media. It just there. I feel like the female one is the female focused ones are blown up the most that you see them, like a shit ton. You know, like look at Deadpool. It's gonna be one of the biggest releases in the year. Stuff like that, you know.
Years.
Mandalorian was one of the biggest shows. What do you mean it's gay? Deadpool's good. What do you mean it's gay? Is of the male audience. Yeah, I'm not talking about fucking all the corporate jargon. I'm talking about the movie. I'm not talking about the corporate jargon of people blaming. Hollywood always blames the audience for why they make dog shit.
And that is, you are not enough. But you still can do great things.
Exactly. The bad shit just seeps to the surface.
They may not bring you glory. They may even bring you pain and suffering. But if you put the good of others...
Spider-Man movies, that had all guys. On Colossus? Yeah. Is that bad? Deadpool's always been kinda gay. What do you mean I missed some incest? What the fuck? What?
Are not able to win the day, but rather can only play their part in the war that will define the future of Middle-earth. They teach us the message we need to hear, the message that Disney and Hollywood want to keep from our ears, and that is, you are not enough, but you still can...
Oh yeah. True, I always forget they kiss. Yeah, to be fair, do Disney anyway, but... I don't know, you mentioned it being gay, like that's a bad thing or something? Like, Deadpool's canonly asks to bang Spider-Man all the time. That moves no matter what gender. Exactly. That's literally, taking that away is taking away the canon. Also, Venom, I didn't mind Venom, but to be fair, Venom is also kind of gay. Like, there's a lot of Venom being gay. He's a lot, like, to be fair, he's kind of genderless, but he's like, to be fair, he's a tentacle monster. What do you expect?
do great things. They may not bring you glory. They may even bring you pain and suffering. But if you put the good of others before...
How is that making fun of pansexuals if he's a pansexual? How is that wanting to fuck everything that moves? How is that making fun of pansexuals?
Your own needs and wants, you will find true and lasting happiness. So many modern heroines fail to win the love of the audience because they take shortcuts to power. They are elevated by the story rather than having to climb up their own character arc. They are shallow
Nothing wrong with being pansexual, guys.
Molds created largely to prove a point or push an agenda, and perhaps most importantly, they tend to care for themselves, their own success, their own ideas of what it means to be fulfilled. Hollywood and Disney in particular seem to want so badly to provide us with examples of powerful women, but they fail to understand what makes for a good example or role model.
That's what I feel like is the biggest thing. The writers they have at the moment fail to see what makes a good hero, what's a good role model, and what particularly makes a woman strong. To be fair, they have had a problem with this through most media. It's why there is so little strong female characters in media. It's because a lot of people don't understand how to actually write it. So they were making him pansexual as a joke. To be fair, most things are jokes when they put it in there. I wouldn't do that to my prime pans, bro. But to be fair, like, exactly, it's fine. I don't think a good male role model automatically has to be masculine either. I don't think there's automatically a one good role model. Like, men don't have to be masculine.
Heroines they prop up are too often shallow, unlikable, and exhibit many of the traits, such as arrogance and abrasiveness, that their creators find abhorrent in male protagonists. How is this fixed? Simple. Create characters to tell a story, not to prove a point. Either show
it's the same. I don't think women have to be feminine to be a good character. I don't think they have to be masculine. I think balance is the key to all things. Like, Spider-Man? Yeah, they're not automatically masculine either. Spider-Man is very sensitive, so is Superman. They inherently put in some very varied traits. Even Batman cries and is sensitive and shows his feelings constantly. Those aren't inherently masculine traits, but they show them. And that's why I think a good character balances it all. There is masculinity in there, but it's not the only thing they have. You don't have to be hyper masculine. Some of the best characters are men showing their softer sides. And I think that is one of the best things, because a man that does not show his softer side is not a character, because that's not realistically what a man is. A man can show those different parts of his personality, and I think it should be praised when they do that. Because men aren't one-dimensional beings. They have feelings, guys. Don't come at me. Men have feelings.
Who have to grow and change to heal their inner wounds and overcome their shortcomings.
Exactly.
Or give us paragons of virtue who have to struggle, sacrifice, and suffer due to the evil they face. But most importantly, write characters whose defining moments do not come as they realize their own worth and value, that they themselves are sufficient, but rather as they decide to take selfless action for the good of others.
I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you!
Well, those are all my rambling thoughts on the matter.
Exactly.
I hope we see lots more characters like Vi, Kim Wexler, Rita Vertasky, and Evelyn from the Quiet Place movies. I just realized 2 of those characters are played by Emily Blunt. No surprise there, considering her publicly stated thoughts on the strong female lead trope.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let me know your thoughts and opinions, and I will see you in the next one.
I actually do like Emily Blunt's work a lot, because she does like a high variety of characters, and I like that. It really highlights, because I don't think there is a one set method for a strong female or strong male character, because there are so many ways to be strong. Yeah, Emily Blunt does a good job. I like that she takes on a lot of different roles that I really like. But that's the thing. That is why I would say there's not one thing to be a good role model. I'm gonna reveal my secrets that I'm actually a Giga Chad alpha male. Yes, that's me, bro. Do you know what else you can do to become a Giga Chad alpha male? Buy my PDF file that shows you how to be a Giga Chad alpha male that gets all the bitches. It's on my Patreon right now. Do you want to be a Giga Chad alpha male that gets all the bitches? I can show you for $59.95 a month. Don't worry, I got you, bro. Don't be a beta, be an alpha.